Recognizing any guests in attendance. We don't have any. Oh, Brittany, sorry. Darn it, she's part of this. And do we have any proxy votes from anybody, or there's? So she already knows that. Okay. All right. Did everybody get a chance to look at that link that Ken sent about the meeting minutes? I didn't.
We have an addition to the agenda.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Gala.
The gala,
I
good.
don't know if it's older.
Well, it's technically still new.
Okay. Where do you want to?
Okay. Anybody else have any additions? Lynn, I have your stuff on there.
Oh, trust theater use, there it is. I did manage to find it.
You just put it on. All right. Kim's trying to pull up the meeting minutes. Uh-oh. Are you trying to copy and paste?
Yeah.
You would pass it on the TV on the screen. We're having some technical difficulties.
Doesn't work.
So anybody want to do a song and dance? Or anybody's got a song?
Come back to that. I know.
Okay, we'll come back to the meeting minutes. On the organizational reports, Grant, do we have anything from Kathy, Ken? Social media, Ms. Britton.
Yes, so something that I'd like to try and do this summer, and I've already reached out to all of the directors, is do a live video, kind of weekly leading up to auditions for our first show, that kind of highlights what each show this season is going to be about and kind of the vision that our directors have. You're welcome to join me on the live video, those directors who are here in attendance, if you would like, or I can just take the information you send me and just do a video just to kind of hype up our season, get people excited for what's coming, just in case they're like, Blithe Spirit, I know nothing about Blithe Spirit. So they get to know a little bit about our season before we get started and use that social media platform even a little bit more than we already are. So that's my big thing for the summer with social media, is trying to make that happen.
Well, I think there was another big thing for you, but of course.
Not social media wise.
And thank you for all the work you're doing on social media.
Yeah.
Because it's helping. I don't know how to Snapchat, so don't do anything on Snapchat.
That's okay. I'm not a big Snapchatter, so. Yeah.
Unless we use those filters and make funny faces.
Right.
I know how to do that.
That's pretty much all I use it for.
Is that
Yeah, that's pretty much it for social media.
okay? Do we have anything from finance?
No, finance did not meet this last month.
I have all of them for statements.
And we'll bring that up in the the treasury report. Once you get it going.
Half the committee was out of town on vacation, so.
No excuse.
So treasurer report is coming.
Yeah, he'll be pulling it up shortly.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready, Ken, I can go back. So you want to pull up the meeting minutes first. So has everybody had a chance to see the meeting minutes via online that Ken sent?
So the ones that Heather said.
Do we have any discussions or anything before we approve the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from last?
But I'll second.
So we have you got that? No, it was Ken and then second. Okay, Ken, if you're ready for treasury.
Statement of financial position.
And just so everybody knows online as well, we're starting to use the video now and trying to save the forest and not print out so much paper and.
On the screen behind us.
So,
Checking account has, this was as of May 31st. $48,504 checking. I transferred $60,000 from the checking to savings. That included the Dakota Bank account and some of the insurance settlement from the department. So that leaves a savings of $67,299.80. We'll get an interest payment on that at the end of this month. Bremer is $68,031.92, and that is up to date. I just reconcile the savings. So we're getting a whole 59 cents a month interest on that account.
which is something we're looking at in the finance committee.
Kind of pathetic. The rest of this is as of the end of, let's see, the rest of the accounts are as of the end of June 26th.
The question I have about like the liabilities and fixed assets, when was the last time that was calculated?
The fixed assets were all calculated as of June 2018.
For the
As
tax
part of the
purposes?
90 preparation, and that will happen a lot earlier this year. That's when you're ready, so I'll get it to them, and probably be that September.
And the building and the land, is that something that we got an estimate?
You know what, I would have to get that from Terry, I don't know for sure.
It'd just be nice to know, like, when that most, if that's a estimate or is that an
Yeah,
exact?
I can't tell you for sure. The liabilities, that's paid passes. Now, some of that is paid passes that are purchased this year. Others of that is passes that will never be redeemed because they were from prior years and have not been redeemed.
Why don't they fall off at some point?
I'm working on that. I have to figure out a way to get them to fall off correctly.
I mean, as liability at least.
Yeah, because it's money, technically it's money we owe because it's passes that were purchased, but they're not going to be redeemed.
But we don't really owe it, it's just people didn't utilize it.
Well,
So
I understand the concept of a pass is that we do, when the people buy a pass, we owe them a ticket to the show. Just because they didn't redeem it,
Yeah, but wouldn't that be defunct at the end of the year?
it does, it is.
That's what he's saying.
I need to work,
Everybody's trying to figure out.
I need to figure out what to do with it. Okay, so we've got about $1,500 or something like that, $1,400 in past liabilities. Now, I'm thinking that probably the best way would be to allocate it proportionately to the shows from last season. So basically, it would go on as tickets, yes, passes redeemed for last season. And that would offset the liability. Just one way of going at it. I haven't figured out for sure if that's the best way or not. And we'll probably discuss that in finance meeting. In the meantime, it doesn't hurt anything because it's sitting there.
The only thing I would ask is in the finance committee, if we could maybe take a look at the buildings and furniture and stuff, just to get an accurate for insurance. Because we need to look at our insurance
I
policies.
had got some stuff from the jury, in fact, there's some waiting at this office. And that may be in there. So I'm really not.
May not make a big difference, but it could be some. Especially now that the apartment is not an apartment.
Any questions on that? If not, see statement activity from July 2018 through 2019. So, May of 2019, and so $46,867 worth of individual tickets.
Is that, I don't, is that the same that we printed out here?
If you printed it off that link, yes, it is.
It says since May.
It's July 2018,
That's
it's
our
last
fiscal-
year, May.
That's our fiscal year to date as of May 31st.
Okay, well, if I go down, go before the next page or whatever,
What are you looking for?
well, I was looking at the expenses and we pay for the apartment building and we pay for this building,
Or
you know, for whatever, for MDU, gas, water, electric, whatever.
utilities, yeah.
Right, for utilities. When did or why did we stop the separation of the apartment account and the theater account?
When the apartment is no longer an apartment building.
But that money, we always paid, any expenses came out of the apartment
I had
account.
no ability to pay anything out of that apartment account. I never had a checkbook for it.
I'm not so sure why we would need to have a separate.
I don't see why we should.
Because they're not, it's our building, it's MRP. And if they're not apartments anymore, there's nothing technically going there for a client that's living there. So I mean, what's your question, Nancy? Like,
Well, I just wondered when that stopped
About when we,
or why it stopped.
when we took the apartment building off the market as an apartment.
That
Yeah,
would have been
Was that
January.
what was
because it
happening
was
before too was because it was with First Night on Management and they paid all the expenses based on what was coming in for rent. So you never saw anything coming out of our account here
Well,
because it was kind of
sometimes-
self-sustaining.
Sometimes there were expenses, but I know what you're saying, but sometimes there were additional expenses. So.
Does it make a difference in our tax statements or accounting or whatever Jerry does?
He
Does
also,
it make a difference that we've pulled money from the MRP house account to pay things that happened
No.
in the apartment?
It doesn't.
I don't know what it was.
because it's a taxed entity
Yeah.
of MRP. Unless, did we have that building listed like MRP Apartments Inc.?
no, it was,
So then it would just be MRP, no sort of programs. So from a tax entity, it's
And then I don't know where we are on getting the tax.
the apartment, this building, we have nonprofit
Right,
exemption.
but we need to get that other building under that umbrella.
So why do we have a check?
That's why, I mean, so sorry, we didn't interrupt. That's why I said, well, I want to look at the insurance policies to see if now that it's not an apartment building, how do we lump it into this building?
Right, that also affects the staff property.
We've never done that.
The property, there was a property tax bill, and it was paid, mostly. Still $100 left.
So then we might need to sit down with Jurgensen, whatever.
So the real estate taxes, I thought that this building, the theater, was tax exempt,
It is,
but we paid a check for $556.
yes, there's special assessments, and I don't know if those are legit or not. I have not been able to find out if we actually owe special assessments. If we don't, we should get a refund.
If you're talking about special assessment from what happened in the street,
That's very
that
possible.
was not exempt.
I didn't think so.
That was a taxation on the property in the city.
No, I believe that one is legit, that 550.
A special.
That's special.
If you're talking, now Nancy, I'm not sure how they assess that number, how the $500 comes in. But if that's what it was paid to, then that is exempt.
Now, I understand special assessments, and that's the,
And that was actually fairly low compared to most people's bill.
Well, whether it's low or high is not the point, it's understanding why it's there.
Well, I think the finance committee maybe ought to take into account, and look into the effect of can these accounts be merged completely? What is our benefits? And/or what does it do to our
And can we
501?
get that building off of tax rolls?
If we just lumped it into
Bottom
those.
line.
Jerry Jorgensen is a mastermind.
That's what I said, we kick it to him and say, what do we do?
Anyway, anything else?
Any other questions for Kim? Since we don't vote on accepting of the report, there's nothing, I'm assuming, for the box office, Kim, at this point?
Box office pretty quiet.
Okay,
I did get one phone call from someone wanting to auditions for an 8-year-old. They came in at noon this afternoon, so totally big deal.
nothing on past and upcoming shows at the moment. Kids program, we'll talk about that shortly. House.
Yeah, just a few notes here. Downstairs, Lynn is continuing costume shop work, setting up the paint room, and working on shelving in the kitchen area downstairs. So that's just, ongoing projects. Randy and Heather helped clear hallways downstairs. We wanted them clear with the idea of children being down there. We thought the hallways should be as clear as possible, so.
Which, by the way, was fantastic.
Thank you.
I don't know what happened to it.
Well, we also closed doors.
So,
Yeah.
Liver McGee's one.
So Ben, don't go down there.
Yeah, we also closed doors, so it does look good, thank you. I do want to remind everyone, please, that there must at all times be a clear access to the exit door from that large prop area. Don't put anything in the way. We have to have a clear, wide exit, so in case of emergency, people can get out. I know the tendency is to drop and run, but we have got to have that area as wide for an exit. Also a reminder that the downstairs bathrooms need to be watered. That means that on occasion, someone must pour water down the stools and run water in the sinks. If you do not do that, it dries out and we get sewer gas coming back. So periodically, just like a plant, you have to water the stools and run some tap water. So if you're there, don't try flushing those old toilets, please, but pour water. Now, just think if you're watering.
And I know that originally it was, we said we were gonna get a quote on fixing the bathrooms. I never heard from them, so.
Okay, well, we'll continue to water the toilets.
'Cause I mean, it's on my.
Okay, that's a good thing, that's a good thing. The bathroom door on the men's bathroom downstairs is incredibly difficult to open. If I try to open it, I'm nervous that I'm gonna get squashed in between the door and the, right?
Sticky.
No,
Hydraulic is pulling it too quick.
The thing up on top of it, it won't let it hold open, and
We aren't letting kids use it.
No. good.
You don't want it.
Good, no, it's
Is there-
just,
Is there any working bathroom down there for the kids?
No.
No, now we're saying.
they would, but we discourage it. I mean, in an absolute emergency.
So we're blocking the door out, hopefully.
The doors closed.
We just don't want to flood.
Right. Now, speaking of doors, there are doors in the large prop area. I don't know if we have a designated door area, but there are doors in the large prop area that when we get to our major cleaning, maybe they can go in an appropriate place. I have been dusting and so on, trying to do some cleaning in the corner, what some of us have referred to as the icicle room. And that is because during a freeze up one year, when we got a great big icicle in, it's the room north of the large prop room. There's chairs and there's bins that say blankets and quilts and linens and such. That room at one time had a large icicle in it, so that's just kind of the icicle room. And now it's got a lot of dust and it's got a lot of an abundance of things. What happens is after every show, we accumulate things. So we've been here how many years? Now we keep accumulating things. Lynn's doing a good job of purging, costumes, because we're gonna, whatever that geometric proportion is where, we expand outward. So I think something's gonna have to be done either to facilitate better storage, or we have to throw some things out because we're reaching maximum capacity.
With the accumulation of props and getting rid of them and costumes, is that something that maybe we want to consider for the citywide garage sale? Just put that we're going to be selling off some old items, or?
That would be a question for me.
Okay, 3 things, and I'll answer yours on 3. One of the biggest problems with props is been the same problem with costumes and the large furniture is the shelving and places to put things in a vertical manner. And until we can get some built shelving down in the prop area, it's probably going to stay pretty confused and complicated, because it's very hard to keep it organized and labeled when you just don't have room to put it. So that's a major thing. The second thing Nancy mentioned when we were talking was the artwork and the frames and things like that. Well, best place and best thing for that is in our hallway on the wall down there. But to do that, you've got to get somebody with a drill and some a drill for plaster and some anchors and screws or hooks or something to just go in and just start putting, here's a painting, there's the space, there's where it goes, and just fill the walls. And yeah, it doesn't have to be pretty, it's storage. But that would get a lot of things up off the floor. In both cases, it takes that person, that individual, with the talent and the capability to build the shelves or put up the hooks to do it. And for many, many years, Tim and I did it, and with Ken's help and a few other people's help, we're tired, we're old, and we can't do it too much anymore. So we need to have other people who can step up and volunteer. But that's the reason that things are as complicated as they are. We had the furniture, we put in that nice double level loft to put the chairs and things on. We had intended on completing it around the other side, and it got delayed, and now it's kind of gone defunct. And when people pull things out, they don't put it back where it belongs because something else is in the way. That's the way it is.
Well, hopefully the building next door will help us too at some point.
And if, that would be a very good option for storage, but again, you can't just walk it over there and put it on the floor. You gotta build something to put the stuff on.
And we need to come up with what we're gonna do with that building.
Yeah. And the third thing you were asking, Ed, about putting it on a garage sale.
Old props, stuff that we're not using that we're
Right.
just like, we don't need anymore.
2 things with that, and number 1, gotta have somebody who's willing to do it. And that means somebody who's willing to haul the stuff around, sort through the stuff, look at it with John's eye of whether or not it's something that's useful or not. And then taking that extra step and saying to somebody like Nancy or maybe me or Ken, or somebody we've been here, we know what the possibility is, of saying, what is the validity of keeping this? Is it something that we can't get elsewhere? Okay, let's get rid of it. We used to have rummage sales. The reason we stopped is because volunteers. Again, volunteers, the same people.
So it sounds like we're stopping.
So that's, it's been thought of, it'd be great to do, but time, and volunteers.
And any suggestions, let me know. Again, we've got an abundance of baskets. I found so many shears. I think we've got shears to, hang on every square foot here. A lot of luggage it's happening that it's going in 2 places. It ended up in the sump room, and then there's some in the icicle room. And flowers, I mean, we could, put flowers all over the place too. But anyway, if you're ever looking for something and you think you need to go out and buy it, if you would ask first, we might have it here. I wouldn't be surprised if we've got it here. So suggestions, again, let me know if you've got suggestions for helping. If anyone would want to go in and sort props, I can certainly give you the okay. If you want to put them in a pile and say, maybe, whatever, yeah.
That's what Nancy and I do all the time. If she has a question about costumes, she just puts it there and she says, tell me yes or no.
So you don't make a single opinion, but get another opinion, and hey, if it's gone, it's gone. Is there a volunteer named Holly that would clean the music room?
Oh,
Thank you. You're it down. Thank you. Oh, I love it. Because she knows what is there, she knows what needs to be there. She is, I think, the perfect person to clean the music room, and I will help you.
When you say music room, what's that?
it's the one in the far back corner behind.
Gotcha.
It's the old
It's got our old review stuff, and, it's got our,
But it's got a rehearsal space kind of thing.
no,
It's just, it used to be called the bookie room, because that's the one that had the 5 blocks on it.
In the back corner there.
so we used to, it's beyond where we stored our own stuff.
Okay, so that's going to happen, and I'm sure Holly would appreciate any other volunteers as well. Upstairs, just quickly, Randy and Heather and volunteers cleaned and prepped for the Missoula group, so always good to have people show up and get things ready when people are coming into our house. The woodroom doors were closed for safety purposes, and they'll be closed.
Stuck a bullet in the latch, so little fingers put it
Good. So that's happening, and Lynn mentioned the loft, while I thought of it, the loft is now sagging. The
Not
loft in the
surprised.
large prop room is sagging.
Yeah, it needs to have a board secured underneath it.
So one more thing goes on and everything will come down. That concludes the house report.
Well, no, I have one thing.
I'm sorry, my part.
And it's a small part, which is just at this point, unless we get any more things coming in, the weekend of July 20th and the following weekend after that are the weeks that Tim is hoping to get to the wood room to clear it out. It probably won't be as organized as we had hoped originally, but perhaps we can at least get it cleaned out.
So not the 8th anymore?
So it was-
No, because there's just so many things going on and people coming through and,
If I can get some helpers though for that week, is that okay if we at least start on it?
Anybody can-
well, the biggest thing is the fact that once we start, nothing can be on the stage, no rehearsals can happen, no rental of the thing, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, because there will be no other place to put the stuff while we are cleaning it. And that's why he chose those 2 dates, because it appears that those are the clearest dates when there won't be any interruption.
But along those lines too, if he lets us know that we can do something without him here then, because I know Heather and I said, we'll
We can do
come.
that, but you can do it the 8th week. So, Randy night.
The only thing I recommend is, because the Cypress has been so generous on their, what do you call this, dumpster thing? Yeah. Let's not utilize the dumpster for this wood. We need to suck it up and buy a dumpster and get it here for a week's rental, and that's what we need to do. I mean, we can throw small stuff in there, but they have a lot of trash that they throw. So I think it behooves us to pay the $50 or whatever to get a
Well,
dumpster.
I think that would be a good idea if you have that here, then if you see other things.
Because maybe
Yeah,
we can get it from
none of them are.
July. Because
It's
Virginia,
like after the 4th of July weekend.
right, Virginia will let us park it back here, and then we just fill it, and then we just, so we can.
There's some stuff that, probably big stuff that could be tossed.
So do y'all think it behooves us with prompting and stuff, that maybe I talked to them about getting like a big roll-off dumpster for like the month, and whatever we throw in, we throw in it? I mean, I'm not a huge.
Is it, where would we put it? Is,
Right back here.
would we have permission to put it there?
Virginia and I talked
I
about.
mean, if we can have permission to have a place to put it, that would be an excellent idea.
The only thing she didn't want was when school was happening, because they,
Yeah.
but now it's empty.
Yeah.
And,
2 months might be enough.
well, I'm just thinking if we did it the 8th through when Tim is doing it, we have a big dumpster to do everything.
And if we do it for a month, that's an extra week where we can get rid of large
And
items
then if
too.
we all know that that's the time, maybe it'll spur us to.
Because
Yeah.
A month, the last time I checked, like a 4-yard dumpster, a smaller one, is about 150 for a month. That includes delivery and takeout. And all I would need
Yeah.
is a bill from
Are
like.
are you talking about a one-time, one delivery?
They
one
only
pickup?
dump it once?
Yeah.
They would bring it here like say July 1st and leave it until July 31st.
And only pick it up once?
Yeah, if it's full, we can have it picked up. This is not
It
a,
costs you 75,
this is not a
50 bucks,
dumpster
$75.
that they pick up every week. This is
No, I know what you're talking about size-wise, I see them all over the
and
place.
it doesn't have a top on it, it just chunks stuff in.
It's a roll-off.
A roll-off,
Most people are gonna think, oh, I'm a dumpster.
well, that's gonna happen.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's been a problem for the one we had that for.
I just think it'd be best if we didn't overextend our usage for this type of stuff with them. They've been very gracious. I can check.
I think it would be a very excellent idea if we could coordinate.
Okay, anything else, house? Okay, concessions, Arnie's is in South Carolina, so I have to check for them.
Arby's is in South Carolina. You mean management.
Yeah, they're-
They just moved to South Carolina.
we don't even know she'll be back. Anyway. Kids program, Holly,
Well,
other, anybody?
we have 19 kids and we're off and running.
Yeah, so they all got cards today, which was very exciting for them all. And they're excited for the week, and it'll be good.
I hear you had a visit. Yes.
Yeah, I just came this morning, surprising, I had it wrote down to call them after auditions, and they showed up on their own.
Because we just talked about it yesterday. Because we were gonna try to do a spot on television or whatever.
Well, it didn't air at 5, I don't know.
No, but
It was on the KXNet.com.
yes. So I'm assuming that they will come tonight and or tomorrow.
It'll be on either, probably either 6. Probably either around 6 o'clock or we'll be on that, yeah.
So we're gonna have to call.
The only thing for the week is, I have a camcorder and we're gonna sell the DVDs, great. But does anybody have a really nice camcorder that they would be willing to either let me use or use themselves or something? Or know of somebody, like just a better, mine's just a personal camcorder, you know? Anybody have one that's big, good quality?
I have a drone that can fly around.
Ours is just a personal one.
We could ask Neil Roberts. with the
Oh,
podcast
yeah.
department,
Yeah.
And he might even have a
Is that
suite
something?
here that's here. to
That would be willing to do that?
Yeah.
Does anybody know?
Yes.
Well, I asked you.
Can you put a phone on a tripod?
Tripod, yes.
Well, I have
I just
that has
Yeah.
but.
I just thought if it was, you know, if we're gonna sell them and maybe it could be better quality and better sound and yeah, if I'm not taping the show, hopefully on Friday, and then I can get them to them on Saturday during the show and sell them Saturday.
Is that what you put a VHS tape there?
Yes, we're on meetings.
Facebook or YouTube.
Which are good.
Smiling.
Anything else from the kids program?
No,
Going good otherwise?
we have a deposit too. We have to put $5 back.
He got a little money, but yeah, so she said it's 750, just 5.
Take 5 of that out and put it back.
Yeah, that's all of us. Black.
Okay, so newsletter?
You sent out,
I sent out a newsletter last week, late last week.
so, and
Still working well, some new materials, not put it in a format, send it out. I dated that one as a June
Right.
newsletter, so.
And I think the next one then will kind of focus more on our season.
And I've got some stuff. to do a lot.
The only thing I would like to suggest is maybe start blurting something about a 50th.
Well, we can, once we know what we're doing.
I'm not saying do anything like that. I'm
Oh,
just
yes, we could
interested.
put that up.
Like,
Look
did you
ahead, looking ahead, yeah.
Did you know 50th is coming?
All contributions for a newsletter will be much appreciated. Photos or text, and then we'll edit it and put it in.
Oh, you mean contributions for the
Any
store?
contributions for
I
Ted,
thought you meant money.
well, money too,
Well,
but I mean,
money, but,
no,
yeah.
contributed documents.
Gotcha.
Want to write something up, let me know.
Yeah, it just needs to be in words so that,
Okay,
and I'll probably
Please no
write
PDFs.
something else.
Please no PDFs.
anything else on the newsletter?
No.
Thank you, Robert. Fundraising.
So the Starter Booster went really good. Thank you all for your help. I did receive a call tonight when I got home from the Civil Cultural Arts Center in Stanley. And they said, some of you might know them, and we did stuff with them in previous years. But what they are looking for is for us, and they would pay us to come and do this, but like a 2-day workshop, you do a morning and afternoon on both days. And workshops kind of similar to what Missoula is doing for us this week, whether it be stage makeup, improv, acting, auditions. So I mean, there's 4 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, for children. They usually have a person that comes in and didn't quite hear why she said they couldn't, but she didn't want to skip a year in fear of like losing it year after year. Yeah. And so, yes, they must take volunteers, but I think it would be great to get our name out there and go do that. And she also said, they're looking at things like having us come out and do murder mystery things. They have a venue of 100 people and
And it's
do a
very
dinner
nice,
thing.
yeah.
And
The acoustics are
it
wonderful.
said last time they had a waiting list for it, so they have full capacity plus a waiting list of people. So I think all these things are great. We just need to find some volunteers. So if you are willing to volunteer for something, she's looking for the end of July, beginning of August, which unfortunately doesn't work for me. I'm on vacation, so she's very flexible. So if it was earlier in July, I could do it too, but anybody, I know Brittany was doing stage makeup at the iMagicCon and it looked great, and I thought of her first. But really anybody that would, if we sent a couple of people,
Ashley, Heather, when you have specific dates.
Sure. And really, she wanted us to come up with the dates, whatever worked for us. So, okay, I'll talk to you afterwards. Cool.
Along that lines, I did receive a script, and I have a perusal script coming for a murder mystery called Murder in the Air, which is designed specifically to be a fundraiser. I will share the script when we get it. But I think it's something that we should.
Can it be a dinner theater thing?
It is specifically a dinner theater.
I think
Dinner
Ken,
is part of it.
I think Ken's only concern was like, where do we have it? Where do we hold it?
So like this.
Right.
So I have read through the script, and it's really a funny script. It's really, it's a murder mystery, but it doesn't depend completely on improv. there's a 30-minute like cocktail hour that's all improv. And then it goes into a scripted piece. So there's a scripted piece that goes up to dinner. And then there's intermission / dinner over to that one. And then what they call the denouement. That's necessary. Denouement, whatever, afterward, after dinner. The big reveal, anyway. And it has a whole thing about, there's about 20 different clues. You can sell extra clues. You can sell extra balance. All sorts of cool things you can do with it.
Well, I'll see if we can set up
I'll share the script when we get it, and it's a possibility. You know, it doesn't have to be the only script. There's others that we can look at, but it looks like fun.
You know, I'd like to throw out a promotions ideas, state fair parades. Even if I have to drive the damn car myself and wave at people.
Yep.
I'm not gonna dress up.
Just wear a hat.
Throw candies around the.
Yes, we can.
And they are.
This year you can. There is a spot for $25 extra you can throw candy. And I want to throw candy.
I was gonna say, can we make a little like, just little mini Tootsie Rolls into like potato candy? In the air.
And see what happens.
See what happens.
If anybody has an interest, I mean, please see me, but I really think we put our name out there. Lynn and I were talking, and that's how she found MRP, and we have a problem with people not knowing we're here.
Well,
I'm not-
it's a population, seems like it comes, you know.
And the state fair parade,
I put one on my door at work.
and the state fair parade brings a lot of people out.
And then the back, I had to put
I
two.
mean, I wouldn't be opposed to like getting a big banner.
No.
We carry it
The
on the 18th.
July.
Is that the parade?
July 20?
No, it's Saturday. July 26th. It opens on the 19th. Saturday.
Because I'm thinking like a lucky contingent.
Then I think maybe we should start planning something soon.
Yeah.
Well, is there a
Yeah.
group of people I could write down that are gonna commit to doing this?
You can put them in.
Don't forget that that's also the week for the wood room, and it is also the week that we're going to be, the weekend we're gonna be at Arthur Park. And that's what I mean by saying we don't have a lot of volunteers to stretch out over the course of
But wasn't yours the 21st?
July 21st is the Arts in the Park.
But the
That's
20th?
20th
And the
is
20th is the wood
the
room.
wood room.
I know, but
Yeah.
when I'm not gonna do the wood room because.
No,
I
but the point is
complain
that
about if I throw
if-
shit out.
When you're talking about the people who actively participate,
Right. It's just,
that's
It's an
three
idea.
things happening on the same weekend.
to me, promotions would be much more important than wood room, but they're both important, so.
Well, even if there's a banner and a. That's what I was just telling Lynn, if we had banner for both sides of your vehicle. It may, you know, and then.
Like I've even said I would offer my Jeep, because I can take the top down, and we could sit in it up high and
It may not
can
take a
throw
lot.
stuff, and then you just have two people holding a banner. I'll even strap it in
Even if
front
we
of
have
the
to
car.
we'll set it up, we could have.
Something that are makes you down.
And I've got volunteers that want to do it outside of MRP. They just want to be in the parade.
Right.
And it
That's
doesn't
because
have
you
to
get it
be-
free, you get a ticket for that day, and you get it free, you get it free, yeah, that day.
It just-
And that, you know, that's usually why we
We
don't.
need more promotion.
Might not stay.
Yeah.
That's my
So if anybody's interested, please see. me.
Slope in the parade.
Unless you want to take it.
And actually, I bet I'm gonna be involved with that.
So you got admin,
Yeah.
I guess it's a two-man show.
Well, we do have like, you know, there are some kids that might be in the Missoula thing that would be interested in
Yeah,
that.
make your name candy out and stuff.
They can sketch with the best.
And they're gonna have costumes.
Well, no, the costumes go home with it.
They go back with
But
the.
they can still
Can we
wear
do
costumes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, something for
Yeah.
everywhere.
If you guys are interested, I mean, I would need to put the application for the parade by next week.
I think it sounds like.
Do we need to vote on that as,
I think we should help too.
I move that Randall proceed with the application and follow through for a entry into the state fair.
And I have a question before the vote is done. I would like to see a show of hands of how many people here feel realistically that they would be able to attend and participate
In what now?
in the parade.
State parade, 20th.
I'll work at the wood room instead.
I'll probably work
I
in the
probably-
group building, but we'll need people to
I could probably
actually
do
attend
a
the
parade.
parade.
I'd rather do that than I would.
That's one of the things that I'm concerned about is to sign something up and make these plans and then have to rely on people who aren't connected with MRP.
well, I've got two people, Joe and I will be on the parade, because Joe is the one that actually brought it up to me.
We can probably talk a couple of the teams who are involved to join the parade if it means they're getting into the
Yeah.
parade.
Right.
I don't think that's gonna be, I don't think getting people to work the parade route is going to be a problem. I know a lot of people here have already decided to dedicate time to the wood rooms, it needs to be done, but I'm sure there's plenty of people outside of the doors who would be
Who
willing
can't really carry.
to even take advantage of, just to take advantage of
So
the
my
parade.
motion is that Ed and Randall will take care of it and follow through.
And
I mean, there is a fee to the parade, I don't know
Yeah.
what it is.
no, that's only if you're being judged.
No, we don't care, we judge ourselves.
Actually, I think there is a
Everybody
fee if you aren't
watching
being
the parade
judged,
should be
because
judged.
I know Cognizant had,
There's a fee. You have
There is a fee if you're being judged,
Yeah,
there
but
is not
yeah,
a fee if you're not being judged.
if they're not being judged, then they pay a fee. I know that because Courtney's on the committee for it.
Well, my exchange club does it every year for the last 20 years, and we've never paid.
So I guess, like, to
I don't think
yours,
it's in
Nancy,
It's gonna be nominal.
it'll be nominal,
It won't
but
be
it
big.
can be, we'll need to.
Well, right, I'm sure.
There'll be some
That would be a biggest expense.
especially if we're planning on doing a full work, we're just planning on putting the equipment.
Just a vehicle.
Let's start small.
Yeah.
We could use the wood and just decorate.
Just throw piles of wood.
You can-
A file of it.
Any costumes we can do?
This is an MRP.
That's it. We'll staple a piece of candy to every piece of wood. throw it in. So-
I'm somebody's staff.
So, second, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, season committee, oh, sorry, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposes, nay nays? Okay, carried. Season committee, anything there?
No activity.
Okay. Tenant building, there's nothing going on over there except a mess. Membership, anything there?
Nothing.
Sponsorship, nothing there either. New business, Arts in the Park, no.
Hey, we have been asked to participate with Arts in the Park. Since we couldn't come up with something that would be a performance, that there would be enough people to participate with, Justin asked if we could possibly recreate what we did at Imagicon. So on July 21st, which is a Sunday, we will be the, I don't know what they call it, featured artists?
Yes.
Artists or something like that. We are hoping to do stage makeup again and possibly some of the stage fighting that we did, how you learn to stage fight. Right now we have Ed and we coerce my son Danny and Tim to do the stage fighting, but if there's anybody else that might be interested in learning about how to do it and coming out and doing a stint showing how it's done, we'll be there from about 3:30, probably 7:30, shortly after the concert starts. That's what that is.
So also request for theater use.
And this, I have not heard much since May. It's possible this lady has found other possibility because it's been just, we have asked a question, she asks more questions, it's been back and forth. She was looking for availability June 24th, 26th, July 8th, July 9th, July 10th. It's always been what's going on during those times, type of thing. But then she asked, what's the theater capacity? Do we have projection, sound, and screen capability? Is popcorn and soda allowed? It's like, you haven't told me yet what your group is. She's working on this event. Her name is Jessica Ackerman.
Oh, she's legit.
She contacted me too for Elshire.
Okay. And she's wanting to.
It's for a documentary.
Documenting, start with a documentary screening, followed by small group discussions, and then take individual portraits.
Well, what is the event about?
I think
And that's it.
I think the theme is, why is mine not great, or how is mine not great?
It's kind of, yeah.
I mean, that's what she told me.
Right.
Yeah. I've not gotten a whole
No,
lot.
Elshire isn't available until August 6th, so she's looking at that.
She's like, this project will be an exciting opportunity for 100 members of the community to share their stories and spark a conversation about how proud we are to call mine out home. When I asked her about it, this is what I got. The public art component will be displayed downtown later in the summer.
When did she send you this?
This was back May 23rd.
Oh, this is way back, okay.
Yeah,
So she just contacted me last week.
yeah, so, trying to get a lot of information, but then of course we went on vacation, and are we interested if those dates are what she wants? June 24th, 26th, 8th, July 8th, 9th, and 10th. I hate to tell you, I am going to be unavailable due to work. I am going to be going away.
Not India, I hope.
No, probably just down to Houston. Who the heck knows? They haven't told me where yet. But, not this week, but the last 2 weeks of June and the second week of July, I will be completely out of the area. So I can't sponsor anything at this point.
We should see her tomorrow or the next day, at the latest, I know her.
Okay,
I'll
if you
try
can get some further information of what it's about. Probably the concern that, I'll be kind of flatly nasty, is I'd like to know what her organization is about before saying yes. Because one would hate to think that we're opening the door to Ku Klux Klansmen, because I'm not, you know her, I don't. And the information that I have so far has not given me,
When is the last time she corresponded?
that was the top one, May 23rd.
Oh, May 23rd.
Okay, because this is a little bit.
A little more,
She might have moved on, I don't know.
yeah,
I think she's probably
possible.
moved on. This was Thursday that she emailed me. She said the event would span 3 hours on a midweek summer evening, plus a bit of extra time for setup and cleanup. It doesn't sound like
The
this.
same thing.
So I'm thinking she's transitioned to
A
other
different-
thoughts and maybe different venues, but. So I think I would just let this go.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I'm okay with that because.
Should we just let go, and then if she asks, just keep it there, so in case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give
If
it.
she
File it
asks
away.
in the-
But it sounds like it's changed, it's,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
a work
she's
in
the one,
progress.
it's her grouping that ASCO or whatever it is, and they've got, that they're working on the building, on the end of the street, the old antique building, one that they're putting a restaurant on the top and the so on. And Jasmine's involved with the bakery.
Bakery.
That's her group, you know.
All right, so Holly, you're gonna talk to her if you get a chance.
If you get a chance,
Yeah.
thank you, because,
Yep.
like I say, I just
Okay.
found out
If it just-
today that I'm.
We'll see if I can, you know, wrangle her, you know, we had a visit today, we're like, that's Maggie. Hold on, just so she knows that we received it. Yeah.
So, Nancy, you had some new business?
Pardon me?
Yeah. new
Oh, the
business.
gala, yes, thank you. The committee as of last time meeting was Holly and I, Courtney and Brittany. And what I have. Yeah, okay. And what I have in mind is that I would be the facilitator of this planning group. So certainly anyone else is welcome to be on the planning group. I wanted John to be on it as well, because I think we need the history people, you know, people of long-term involvement, we need the young people as well. So certainly anybody is involved. My plan would be I would have approximately 3 sessions. Session 1 would be strictly getting some guidelines and doing brainstorming, not decision-making. The second session would be thinking and thinning. The third session would be, let's have a real live, viable plan for our 50th. So as I anticipate calling a guideline meeting, a number 1 meeting, are there any guidelines that you as a total board have for what you expect from this?
The only thing that I mentioned was what you talking about the gala, right? Is that I would like it to see it to be catered, like a
Right.
catered meal.
Right.
Because we owe it to our patrons.
Yeah.
And I would love it to be open to, you know, all patrons, everything.
Yeah.
I know that'd be hard and difficult.
Anyone who
both
wants to
sides.
buy,
And it would be a ticketed event,
So did you say, what's the next thing?
a ticketed event for
Yeah.
like a membership to fit in with Lynn's membership committee. So like if, let's say they gave $100 donation to come to this thing, they would automatically become a new member. And or if they're already a paid member, they get in for free. Because we owe that to them as part of our membership. We said we needed something to give them for membership.
Well, okay, so now is that a board thing or is it a Randall thing? I just
That's
need
just
to know
one.
that. Right. So, but that's what I want to know when the committee meets, as I facilitate this, what is a guideline that we have? Do we have the guideline that the board wants it to be catered? Is that a board thing?
it's a
When
good,
you say catered, you mean have to sit down?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm thinking, because I'm from Texas, I'm thinking beer and barbecue kind of thing. Because it's hard to,
That doesn't really suit the game.
I understand,
No,
but
but
we have
it's
to
a
be
sample,
careful.
and
it isn't really quote unquote, I don't think we're gonna call it a gala.
And we
What
have
is
to
the
be careful of the
possibility?
cost of, like, if we make for 5,000 people and only 1,000 show up, you've got to pay for all that food.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
So we got to buy a ticket.
Yeah, and what I'm thinking is instead of a free ticket, even for the ones that are already approved, that you've got, it can be deeply.
Just something to cover the
It's
cost.
gotta
of the
be
meal.
viable, exactly, because if I give you a ticket, you may not come, and then we bought food for you and your significant other. But if you pay $10 for one and
Yes.
$10 for significant other, you'll put it on your schedule and you'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two.
You give them
Yes.
invest in it so that people come.
Correct. And then that's also counting how many, you know, how many people will be there.
And if they don't come, the meal's paid for.
Exactly. And it
Right,
may be
we're
$10,
not out there.
but it's,
I think we're kind of getting off.
Well, we're
But
gonna have a
yeah.
meeting for that. I just want a guideline, so the
and that's
guideline,
fine, that's my input on your guideline.
just hold on.
I'd like to suggest that since everybody's got a different kind of idea or opinion or suggestion, that perhaps that anyone who has an idea or a suggestion, email that to Nancy, who can then coordinate the various suggestions and see if there's a trend.
Right, and I that's exactly what I was going to add in addition to that. But before I even start, do I have the guideline that you want food?
Yeah.
Alright, so we can make
At
it,
some point,
okay,
food would
so food, okay, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough of a guideline, actually.
What time of year are we thinking of doing together?
Yeah,
Like opening
that's-
or ending? Because
That's,
that might depend on
That's
what kind
another-
of food we do.
that's another,
So that's why I was just wondering if
we
you
have,
had.
the only guideline that has been, maybe an assumed guideline is that it would be 2021, because that would be an actual figure. Now, that gives us 12 months.
So, and March might be after one show before the next one goes into, might be a possibility in there. You know, because there's a break, a natural kind of a break in there.
But are you agreed that 2021?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we want food, we want it in 2021. I just want really very basics, because yes, I will
What
pursue.
is the possibility of doing 2 or 3, I'm gonna think, 2 smaller activities to lead up to it?
Possible, that could be just an idea.
That's
An idea for me.
But,
you know, we have ideas.
we were talking too, remember that
I talked
years
about-
ago, about the, we always had a champagne night, you know, on our in our case, first opening night was always champagne night. So if you, and of course, it's always a smaller crowd generally. Well, it used to be the Thursday crowd. Even if we used like the crew next year, being the, you know, these are having Thursday night shows, that possibly we could look at, and that would maybe lead in more to like a membership thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I envision.
That's kind of going into ideas too, but let me go back to, because now I'm going to be very, very confused. If we are looking at a gala that's going to be open to the public,
Yeah.
or are we looking for a gala that's closed to membership?
My vision was it's open to anybody.
Anybody wants to buy a ticket?
Okay, that's right, but open, and it is a fundraiser.
Yes.
So I would
What
say
did you
not,
say?
probably not.
I would have fun.
Yeah. Well, and the first thing be in costume because.
Nancy, you put me down.
Thank you.
And I,
Well, Randall, would be.
Yeah.
and I think it might be a good idea to contact Justin Morrison, because he has lots of experience with these kind of events.
Yes.
Yes,
So he has
we
a
would,
wealth of knowledge.
thank you, and we do like to include committee members as well, that it would not be closed, so, thank you. Okay, I mean, I think that's good, I just wanted a basic, what I have now, I don't want ideas really without knowing some guidelines for the ideas. So, we want food, we want it to be in 2021, we do want it to be as a fundraiser, we want it to be open to the public. Celebratory. Good. I'll reinforce that idea of, please let me know as ideas pop into your head, that's going beyond the guidelines, then we can go into ideas. And I'll let you know when we set the meeting, which will, it'll take a year of planning. I really sure will.
This is a big
To fine tune an immediate plan, a year of planning. I'll let you know when we can get together. John agreed to help as well. Good.
Thank you, Nancy.
Okay.
Kim, I know you're
Okay.
itching to talk over there.
We got one thing I want to do.
Traffic Forward is an online and mobile-based platform to help you manage your volunteer hours in an effortless way. It's super easy to set up and really simple to execute. You don't need to follow our specific processes or workflows because you're able to set it up any way you like. Logging hours, deadline directly on your site. Your volunteers are able to see their current submission statuses, as well as see how much they have left to reach their achievement level. If you want to encourage a little bit of friendly competition, or if you just want to be more transparent, you can set up your site so that your volunteers can view all the charts and see where they stand on the leaderboard at any time. Volunteers can also sign up for events through our event sign-up calendar. We work really hard to streamline this process for you, so now you don't have to use that software that doesn't work anymore, and you can stop using those spreadsheets to manage all of your volunteer hours. You don't need to be a professional with computers to understand how effortless this really is. Through your organizer dashboard, as you can see, you have live oversight over your organization's activities. All on one page, you can view it, the ability to group and filter your data, and you and feel free to share whenever it's ready. Lastly, our simple event management system makes it really easy for you to create events, manage signups, email attendees, and print your forms. There's a lot of real neat functionality in here, but we'll leave that for another video. So what's next? Signing up is easy. Click on the big orange Start Free Trial button to get started. We're going to walk you through a simple setup wizard where you will configure your hour logs, your milestones, and your volunteer information. Then you're ready to go. Again, like we mentioned before, Track It Forward is meant to be very flexible. You can use all our features or just some of them, and then you can just adjust them later at any time. Any questions? Our team has worked really hard to make sure that finding the answer is effortless. We have an ever-growing knowledge base, user guides, video tutorials, and other resources to help you make the right decision for your organization. But are you still wondering? Here's what others are saying about us. We hope you join us through this journey. If you have any questions on how to get set up to make this work for your organization, you can contact us at support@trackitforward.com.
Okay, basically, virtually everything we've talked about, we've talked about volunteers. And we've got two problems. One, we need to track volunteer hours for purposes of grant writing, for purposes of our 990, part of our charter, basically. We need to be able to track those volunteer hours. In the past, we've tried a clipboard, the sign-in sheet, didn't work. Tried a number of different methods. Do it on paper, someone's got to take all that information, transcribe it into some sort of form to have some sort of valid record to be able to do anything with it. Otherwise, it's not worth anything. That's one issue. The other one is getting volunteers. And what this system does is it allows you to set up a link on a Facebook page, on the web page, whatever, so people can sign in, register to be a volunteer, pick an event off the calendar, and schedule it, and then track it.
One of the things, if I may, can inject, I'm on the symphony board, and we have over 170 some odd volunteers. Without this system, it would be impossible for us to run the Great Tomato Festival. Yes.
Do you use that one?
We use this very one. Now, what I want to inject with what Ken has said is that when I talk volunteer, I also talk about patrons, because we have patrons that want to help, but we don't know that. Yes, they fill out brochures, they fill out all kinds of things, but this would allow us to inject it into our newsletters and keep it takes the burden off of any one of us sitting at this table. So if John Doe in seat 12 last shows, I would really like to volunteer, but I don't know how, in the next newsletter, there would be a link. Hey, you want to volunteer? Click right here. And I've got all the events listed, pick one, the State Fair Parade, the children's thing, so forth. And then that helps Kathy write the grants, because anybody, I know for a fact on HES, when I was on the HES committee, the only way you're going to get $1,000+ is you have to prove how many people work on your project. And I was on that committee for 10 years. I know then you probably have the same thing out of Cognizant.
Mm-hmm.
So
Price-wise.
I just wanted to interject that.
Yeah.
So people are-
It's $24 a month. $24 a month That's up to 100 per 100 volunteers. If we get 100 volunteers, I'll be really happy. So basically
What defines the
$280 per year.
volunteers?
Pardon me?
What defines the volunteers?
Any people who have the app that are signed in.
Anybody who signs up?
Is this an app?
Yes.
It's an app, it's a link on a Facebook page, you set up a Facebook event, and it's part of that event. So you can go on Facebook and say, yeah, I'm interested in this event, and there's a link on there, volunteer.
So even if they're registered, what if like every single one of them registered, but they're not volunteering? Are they considered one of the 100 volunteers?
You don't even have to register. You don't,
You don't have to-
you just put your name in and it puts you
Put
on the list.
Well, what I'm thinking is kind of on the lines of when I was tracking volunteers several years ago. I had over 300 names on the list,
But were they active?
but they never showed up for
Right.
anything.
The
So
point-
that's the question. If they put their name in and they sign up for something, but they don't do anything,
Are they still?
is that still counted as that per 100
I
volunteers?
think we're only counting the ones that are actively tracking hours.
But how does this know that they're?
Do they?
Because they're actively tracking hours. If they're,
So it doesn't consider them a volunteer until they put in
some hours.
But you know, you have volunteers here if you do show. You know, so, you know, technically speaking, all of those hours should be counted somehow.
Exactly.
Well, we could make it to
But
where
then we would definitely have more than 100 volunteers.
Okay,
it's,
so that would be $48 a month. But if you've got 200 volunteers, great.
with 200 volunteers, there's a lot of new things we can do.
Yeah, well,
It's a lot like the ticketing system. It seems expensive, but it's based
what,
proportional to what we do.
I have a
What?
question about the volunteers.
Yeah.
If you have 20 people volunteer for the first show because it's a big show, can we kick them out afterward? Or like, do they roll off so another 20 people can come in and take their place?
The
Like-
last time I checked with our symphony system, I think what it does is, let's say you have a show on the 10th, right?
Mhm.
15 people or 20 people sign up. If it goes into, you set your event cycle.
Okay,
If the cycle ends, the event list is clear.
okay, because that would answer a lot of the questions. You have 20 people volunteering doing work calls,
Well,
and then they never show up again. We don't want them counted against us.
understand that when you set up an event, you have the option of saying, I need X number of people. We set up ushering for a show.
Right.
I need 3 people. Okay, 3 people sign up and they'll say, oh, after the 4th person comes in, it's full.
But it
Would
could
stop
push
that.
them, they could push them to like concessions or box office.
Right.
Because it'll have a list of, these are all the positions.
These are the-
Right,
these
but
are
it
the-
kind of works on a rotation. So like if John Smith shows up for the first show and doesn't intend to work for any others, we don't have to worry about the fact that he's taking up this one volunteer spot, right? He'll fall off eventually so someone else can take the
Right.
spot.
But will his hours get counted then if he gets kicked off of that?
Any hours he
Has
does
any
work.
been
Amongst
here?
each report.
Anything he's
Reported.
Now, I will.
And that's all part of the management of the system.
But I will say this, from a grant writing perspective, I have talked to the Air Force, because we are utilizing a lot of Air Force personnel to help with like the Bacon and Brew at the zoo and various other events that I help with. They won't even send their people without some kind of tracking format. And if we don't supply it, they have to supply it. Well, they'd rather us do it, obviously, because it merges with ours. But for instance, the symphony, again, I'm using that as an example. We, on average, get about 15 volunteers per concert season or per symphony concert. Those people aren't paid, but we are tracked. And then the Air Force actually gets paid for that through indirect granting and stuff through the US government. So it works the exact same way with our organization. For Kathy to write these larger grants, which we would like to see, or even small ones, some companies require you to show, well, how many volunteers, what's the economic impact to my company as well as your company. So I know this is a touchy subject and Ken has done a lot of work in this, but it's something that everybody would need to consider. It needs to happen somehow. Now, when you ask about how easy it is, there is an app you put on your phone. You don't even have to sign an account. It's just an app that says put your name in and which event do you want to help with. It's like Randall MRP. Oh, here's all the
I just thought like if we're putting sponsorships, that could be one of the slides during the show or something.
Now,
Volunteer?
And that's part of the thing with the volunteers is to promote volunteering.
and also help with membership drives. Yes, Lynn?
And then, this is the major one, who's gonna be the person responsible for inputting all the information?
Well,
They
this-
No,
They do it
not the
themselves.
individual's information, but you're talking about all of these events being
Setting
put
up
in.
an event, okay,
But
So
that's,
somebody has to be responsible for that.
okay.
I will
There is
personally
one
help
system
with that as
administrator,
well.
and I'm perfectly willing to do that. Can have event managers. An event manager would be,
Like a
so
director.
you're setting up a special cleanup project. Create that. You can have an event manager that takes care of that one.
Even if you get the 4 executive board members, it's
Yeah, I mean,
email us and we'll set it up.
it's an unlimited number of event managers. So if someone is running an event, a woodroom cleanup, a state fair parade, whatever, they can be set up as an event manager and will run the event.
First
It's
of
real
all,
simple.
the thing that I do every show when I send out that volunteer list, just put it in here for the whole year. If you want to sign up for the 5th show in 2020, go for
Do
it.
you get reminder emails or anything?
Yeah.
Once someone signs up for an event,
Put it in an app.
we'll send them, they'll get an email reminding them that they have volunteered for that event.
And I've also put it in your Google Outlook or the Office calendar.
Is it strictly by event, or if I'm doing stuff for social media, can I input it in separately
Sure.
on a list? And I don't have to have an event or anything, just put it in?
Absolutely.
It can also track non-volunteered hours, meaning if you want to build a list of
Mhm.
people to drag from, they can put their name in and you can pull them into events as well.
Basically, what you would do is you'd probably create an event called social media. And doesn't have a timeline on it, doesn't have a date, you just track the hours, track the time as you go. So there's event specific and non-event specific.
Perfect.
Go either way.
Does the event director, planner, have access to who's volunteers?
Yes,
It's necessary.
yes, they will. the
And
event
what
manager-
do they have to put in if they volunteered? Do they have to put in, like Jane Jones, does she have to put in an email? Does she have to put in a telephone number or anything so that the main person
If
can
they
call?
put in an email, they'll get a notification.
Yeah.
That's how they get
It goes
notified.
onto their Google calendar or Outlook calendar.
But you don't have to put it in.
Use those.
You can do it with that, you can volunteer without an email account.
And I,
All you need is your name.
I know I talked with Ken, it was one of my questions I sent you in the email about if you aren't comfortable using the system, you can write it down and have someone else input it, correct?
Yeah.
Like the event manager.
Right, or like if you have somebody at a work call and you don't want to have the hassle of 20 people trying to sign in, the director could write down everyone's name, the time that they were there,
Yes.
and then input it.
But there's no reason why, Ken just got 3 different computers donated to us, and we've got some laptops that are spare. We'll just put the laptop right there at the box office, and you come in, sign in.
Mhm.
It's not but 10 seconds.
Right.
Right,
And it
and
helps us.
that's a good idea.
So there's your
Just have
clipboard,
there.
so we have a multiple of ways to hit this.
Well, I think we should try it.
Yeah, I'd like to motion that can go forward with purchasing this and being set up.
I think it's at least worth the trial run.
Second.
Any other discussion before we vote?
I would simply like to add to the bottom of the motion that it being a trial run, that we have set a date or some kind of like month, like 6 months from now, a year from now, at the end of next season, whatever, to pull this back into the discussion, to review it, so that we don't just automatically keep going with something that, as it turns out, is either hard to manage or is fantastic. But
But you
I
can
would
do
like to
that at
know.
any time.
I
You
would
can do
point
that,
But I
out
would
that
like
there's a 30-day
like
free
the
trial.
board to have a specific follow-up time so that we do it instead of ignoring it.
Well,
I think that's
the problem with that is how often are you going to use it to weigh that when you're putting that drop date in?
How
In
often
other
they
words, if it works, we'll know it's working. If it's not working, we'll know it's not working. And it's month to month, correct? And you just drop it.
It is,
Yeah.
it's,
So at the end of a month, we'll get a report.
actually, we can do a 30-day free trial.
But
And
is
you
that what
wouldn't
comes, the
utilize
report
it
come at
in
the end of the
30
month? We don't have a whole lot of.
Exactly.
Reports are available soon.
So we
Yeah.
already have, yeah.
They're
Well, we can just check, we can do our annual meeting in January, let's just revisit it, see how it's going, whatever.
This is-
I think a review at the annual meeting would be.
Yeah,
that's a really good
idea.
This is not a year, we don't have to buy a year, we buy by month.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, that it can be done by month rather than a
It can
full
be,
year?
it's a little bit more expensive if you go per month, but it's doable.
Well, it's just, I would like, rather than just signing up for an entire year of serious music, the fact of being able to try it out and make sure you use it.
Well, you could do month to month and then transition over to.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I'd like to kind of have that trial amount of time to see if, it sounds fantastic, but a lot of things sound fantastic when you first hear of them. It's the follow-up that is the problem. And if the first month is fantastic and the second month, it's not too bad, but the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, people aren't putting information in or.
But I don't think we're
whatever.
just hearing of it either. It's being
Take a look.
utilized and.
On that link that I sent to the shared drive, there's a thing there about getting people to sign up to volunteer. There's a whole, like a 26-page document. And it goes through it in great detail about how to entice people to sign up for volunteers.
Even awards for volunteers, like,
Award-
people are competitive in nature.
Yes.
And so they're like,
Jerry
if I
has
get
more
20
hours than
hours,
I do.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
get a
There's a
free glass
leaderboard.
of wine.
Yeah.
There's
You
a
know?
leaderboard.
There's
Yeah.
something.
No, that's not a bad idea.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I need to ring because we're time limited. I need to get- So the question,
On the line.
Holly, I think has already motioned for this.
Yep, I already said.
And we already have a second, did I answer your questions then? For now?
That
That
with
we-
the addition
that
that
we look at
we
it
take a review of it at the annual meeting, that's fine.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No, any opposed? Okay, can purchase. And people, and the very first thing is everybody here needs to sign up, so, for something. Ken, you had something else on the agenda?
We already covered it.
To show how things are.
Did anybody have any old business
Yeah.
to bring up?
Because that's not my job. Right, sorry.
Okay, if there's no other old business and other new
I'm
business
sure you
we
did.
missed. Okay, then the next meeting, or is there any announcements, reminders?
Oh, none?
I mean, that's not really board related.
So, it doesn't matter, it's enough.
On the
Fifth.
5th, on the 5th, Whitney and I got engaged.
Did you get that in volunteer spreadsheet?
What are you signing up for here?
That's the real question.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the next meeting date is set for July 8th. We'll just leave it at that until further notice. So, unless
I
anybody
can
has
tell
any
you
questions.
right now, I will not be there. I'll be in work.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Where was